Hello dear viewers, welcome back to Whispers of Turkish Stars. Before we dive into today's update, don't forget to subscribe, tap like, and pass this along to a friend who lives for those tender, off-camera moments. Your support keeps this space alive and lets us bring you the soft, unguarded chapters of celebrity life that fans rarely get to see. Today, we're taking you far from studio lights and city rush, to a quiet mountain haven where Erkan and Hazal Sabasai chose to retreat for a much-needed pause from the chaos around them. After weeks of overlapping schedules and long shoots, they slipped away to a secluded lodge tucked between pine ridges and misty ridgelines. The air was crisp, the kind that straightens your posture the moment you step outside, and the road leading up to the property cut through forests that looked like a painting. Insiders tell us the location was selected not by chance but with careful intent, a place where no one would intrude, where they could hear their own breathing and the wind brushing the needles overhead. It was a weekend carved out purely for restoration, for quiet conversations, and for letting the noise of fame dissolve into the hush of the mountains. When they arrived, the staff noticed something immediately disarming about their energy. Hazal stepped down first in a simple sweater, leggings, and boots built for uneven ground, her hair tucked into a warm beanie that softened her features. Erkan followed in a flannel shirt layered over a plain tee, jeans, and sturdy sneakers, the kind of look that telegraphed comfort rather than performance. There was no entourage making a scene, only low-voiced greetings and genuine thank yous. Those who caught a glimpse of the couple online, through a few fleeting clips that slipped onto social feeds, couldn't help but comment on their relaxed smiles, the wordless rhythm between them as if the mountain air itself was guiding their steps. Inside, the lodge welcomed them with honey-toned wood, vintage rugs, and a fireplace already set to crackle. Lamps cast a buttery glow across shelves of worn books and polished stone. The main room, which the staff affectionately called the heart of the house, drew them in at once. They set their bags aside without ceremony and wandered toward the kitchen nook, where a kettle waited. Erkan, who has a well-known soft spot for strong coffee, took charge of that ritual and immediately tried to engineer a cup bolder than a winter gust. Hazal hovered beside him with amused patience, teasing him gently when he doubled the grounds and insisting they brew a simple black tea as well. Their mild back and forth, caught in a short video and circulated by a friend, made fans buzz not because anything dramatic happened, but because everything was so delightfully ordinary. You could hear soft laughter, the clink of a spoon, and the comfortable silences that only arrive when two people truly know each other. With mugs warming their hands, they let the afternoon carry them outdoors. The trail behind the lodge sloped into a panorama of fog-tinged valleys, and the air smelled like pine and damp bark. Hazal loves to catch light in fleeting forms, and more than once she stopped to frame a photograph of sunlight pressing through the branches. Erkan, steady and attentive, pointed out a hidden footpath and a line of white mushrooms along a fallen trunk, offering soft jokes and patient pauses while she captured the scene. Those who later stumbled on the images, posted without fanfare, as if they were notes in a private journal, called them a reminder of why many fell in love with their on-screen chemistry in the first place. The affection felt unforced, something that didn't need to be announced to be understood. By late afternoon, the temperature dipped and drew them back inside. Blankets lay draped across deep sofas, and the fire set a rhythm to the room with its gentle pop and glow. They settled not across from each other, but close enough to share the same throw, speaking in low tones that didn't carry beyond the hearth. It wasn't the sound of lines rehearsed for a camera, but the ebb and flow of two people syncing their thoughts. Small updates about work, fragments of memories they had neglected to revisit, and then comfortable quiet, the kind of quiet that refills a person more effectively than sleep. As the evening unfurled, a couple of close friends, who had traveled with them for this escape, joined for a low-stakes game night. The coffee table disappeared beneath playing cards, dice, and a worn board with pieces that clicked and clacked as they moved in friendly competition. The laughter came easily, building until even the staff in the adjacent hallways smiled at the sound. Erkan tried to keep a straight face as he plotted a victory that never quite landed, while Hazal's laugh gave away every bluff before she could finish it. Online reactions to snippets of their game night called the whole scene cinematic, not because of lavish staging but because of the unguarded delight on their faces. For a few hours, they weren't stars. They were simply two people playing at a table, wrapped in the safety of friendship and firelight. Night arrived with the unhurried certainty that only mountains command. The lodge glowed softly, and the windows held reflections of fire while outside the trees swayed like dark brushstrokes. Later, when the noise had ebbed and the games packed away, the couple drifted back to that main room as if drawn by an invisible thread. There, the conversation turned deeper. Hazal shared ideas about roles that terrified her in the best way, characters whose feelings run complicated and raw. Erkan confided how he measures success not in applause but in the quiet satisfaction of honing a craft, of getting one honest scene out of a hard day. They compared notes on what it means to be seen, not just by audiences but by each other. A friend nearby swore the firelight made it look like they were speaking in secrets only the flames could hold. Dinner was kept deliberately intimate. The lodge's local team presented a meal that honored the region: grilled vegetables with a smoky edge, fresh bread with a crust that crackled under the knife, a winter salad tossed with herbs gathered nearby, and a simple dish that tasted like it came from a family kitchen rather than a restaurant. Erkan helped lay the table, taking quiet pleasure in straightening cutlery and making room for small jars of preserves. Hazal moved plates and poured water with care, her gestures small but mindful, the way people move when they are at ease. The mood was easygoing, the conversation meandering: work, travel, films they'd been meaning to watch, silly stories from sets that will never be told publicly. Those who were present say nothing about the meal was extravagant, yet everything felt memorable, as if the evening had distilled itself into a single long exhale. When the plates were cleared and the chill deepened, they stepped onto the balcony bundled in thick blankets. The sky opened above them, clean and sharp, with constellations drawn in a white simplicity the city rarely reveals. They tried to trace shapes with their fingers, or eye and there, a wandering satellite sliding past like a slow, silver brush. There were quiet nudges, shared grins, and murmurs that didn't need to travel far. A short video of them, shoulder to shoulder as they tilted their heads upward, surfaced on fan pages and triggered a flood of comments. The scene resonated, two people staring into the same endlessness, grounded not by spectacle but by a quiet that felt like trust. Before parting for the night, they returned to the fireplace for a final stretch of stillness. The room held the day like a vessel. Footprints in the rug, empty cups near the arm of a chair, the rush of air when someone crossed the threshold. They talked about gratitude in a straightforward way, not as a slogan but as a practice: appreciation for time that isn't hurried, for being able to retreat and recalibrate, for having each other as a mirror and a shelter. A friend nearby caught a fragment of laughter that turned into silence, the sort that stitches people together without anyone needing to say how or why. Then they drifted to their rooms, closing doors with the softest clicks. Morning brought a pale light that smudged the mountains in soft blue. Breakfast was unpretentious: fresh eggs, olives, yogurt, honey that tasted of flowers, bread still warm from the oven. Hazal leaned against the balcony rail between bites, taking in the view as if taking it into memory as well. Erkan stood beside her with the familiar stretch of someone who feels a little taller than yesterday. They didn't hurry. They didn't need to. Those lingering minutes gave the impression that the trip had accomplished what it set out to do: not a vacation for the sake of photographs, but a retreat that allowed room for feeling. By the time they packed, the staff had warmed to them in the way people do when kindness is consistent. There were quiet thank yous, a few signed notes, and promises to return when the snow settles deeper. Online, fans flooded timelines with gentle excitement, calling the getaway a love letter to stillness, a quiet reunion with nature, a reminder that even public lives require private anchors. Comments echoed the same refrain: watching them in this space felt like watching a favorite scene from a story that never has to end. If there was a lasting image to carry from this trip, it was the firelight on their faces as they shared nothing more than time. In a world that asks for constant output. More projects, more premieres, more headlines, this mountain interlude was a refusal to rush. It was a whispered agreement to choose presence over performance. And that choice, more than any grand gesture, resonated with everyone who cares about them on and off the screen. It reminded fans why these two, together or apart, draw loyalty: because they approach life with sincerity, and because their bond, whatever label the world tries to give it, feels rooted in honesty and care. For those who follow every update, this visit wasn't about defining the future or rewriting the past. It was about showing a gentle, human chapter: the laughter over a too-strong coffee, the quiet thrill of finding a hidden path, the warmth of friends leaning in close to a board sprawled with pieces, the hush of stars that seemed to breathe. If you blinked, you could have missed it. But if you watched carefully, you saw something real. Something that didn't ask to be noticed but made itself unforgettable anyway. Thank you for spending time with us here at Whispers of Turkish Stars. If this story brought a little warmth to your day, remember to like, subscribe, and share. It helps keep these intimate glimpses coming. We'll be back soon with more exclusive insights, behind-the-scenes moments, and the soft edges of the Turkish entertainment world that everyone deserves to see. Until then, let the mountains keep their secrets, and let this weekend linger as a promise that the best moments don't need bright lights to shine.